Chelsea vs Arsenal was probably the most awaited game of the preseason, and with exciting signings on both teams, Chelsea was only looking to strengthen their title-winning team, while Jonas Idol's Arsenal had an underwhelming season to recover from. But were Arsenal really not at their best in this game, or was Chelsea just playing better football? Arsenal decided to line up with a 4-2-3-1, whereas Chelsea lined up in a 4-4-2. And some new names in the Arsenal lineup were Rosa Kafaji and also Katrina Kuh. Going into the game, both teams actually had a pretty similar concept of play with only slight differences. It was as if both team managers were playing chess and they were just copying each other's moves in hopes that nothing would go wrong. In attack, both teams looked to push their fullbacks high and wide, with Katie McCabe being more aggressive on the Arsenal team and Laura Winreuter holding back a little. The Chelsea fullbacks, however, were both pushing whenever needed, and Ashley Lawrence and Lucy Bronze did a great job at not only providing crosses, but also passing options on the sidelines, forming triangles with their team, and then playing out whenever possible. Whenever the ball had gone to the goalkeeper, however, both teams also decided to not actually use their strikers and press the keeper, but more so use them as a bait so that the team would play towards one side, and then when they do have them on one side, they would use their wingers or their midfielders to press the ball and win it out wide. In defense, both teams used the 4-4-2 formation, but in my opinion, Chelsea's way of playing it was way more successful because they were able to block almost all the Arsenal balls into the center. And this is where the difference actually comes in, because Chelsea opted for a higher pressing method compared to Arsenal. And this is a pressing method that they are very used to because they also use this under the guidance of Emma Hayes, where they'd go and press the opponents aggressively, not giving them any time on the ball. And even if there was distance between them and the player that they were supposed to mark, they would close it almost immediately. And because of this, Arsenal were either forced to make a mistake or play all the way back to their goalkeeper Manuela Zinsberger. From early on in the game, Arsenal were looking to bait the Chelsea players to come out and press their goalkeeper, but this didn't really work. And this was because of the constant rotations and the understanding of the Chelsea players that allowed them to actually cover so much of ground, even though there was one player that would go out to press and leave a space behind. And due to their extreme high press, even if the ball did go out to the sideline, to the winger, or to the left back, most of the time the best option was to pass it all the way back because the Arsenal players did not have any time on the ball whatsoever. Arsenal also wanted to use Kim Little and Kyra Cross to play from the center, but this just did not work because they were always outnumbered. If there were two of them in the center, there would be three Chelsea players marking them, and if there was only one of them in the center, then there would be two Chelsea players marking that one person. And although Kim Little started out as an attacking midfielder in the lineup, that role was actually given to Rosa Kafaji, and Kim Little played as a defensive midfielder almost the entire game, which actually is not really the position that she is used to in my opinion, because she's always the player that is looking out for those passes and creating chances for her team. And because Connie Cross and Kim Little dropped deep to receive the ball, this also caused another problem because this meant that Rosa Kafaji was all alone in the center and had very little support, which meant that the ball did not reach to her even though she's a player that could actually create amazing chances as she did the few times that she got the ball. But as they moved into the second half, Jonas thought, you know what, let's just screw this plan. Well, no, he didn't actually screw that plan, but he did decide to change that plan and also send long balls, which then was a much better option, but not necessarily great, because even though the balls were played to the winger and they were played to the striker, the runs in behind were not really recognized. And in my opinion, this is probably Arsenal's biggest problem throughout this game, is that this team hasn't actually understood one another yet. As for Chelsea, they were much successful playing up from the back because Arsenal was not pressing as aggressively as they were. And because of this, they were also able to create a lot of chances on the right flank because Katie McCabe kept pushing up and leaving a lot of space in behind, which then was exploited by not only the winger but also the inverted fullback, which was Lucy Bronze. And to be fair, Chelsea also had a lot more success in attacks, although they were only able to convert one of it, and more quality chances compared to Arsenal. And speaking of the goal, this just mainly came from Hamano not stopping her run, which then allowed her to play across into the box and Baltimore to fire this into the back of the net. To be fair, in my opinion, Arsenal played better football in the last 15 to 20 minutes of the game than they did in the first 70 to 75 minutes. And this was because the patterns that they were looking to create throughout the entire game actually happened during the last 15 to 20 minutes because of the team that had came on and the team that had better understanding. And especially with Vivian Leah, Laura Weinrotter, and Alessia Russo on the right side, you could actually see a lot more attacking plays coming out and there was a lot more cohesion between the three. And overall, I just think that this Arsenal team isn't actually a really bad side. They just need to gel a little more before we start seeing some magic. And with Rosa Kafaji in the center, she's definitely going to be one to look out for in the upcoming season. Because, I mean, just look at this turn. And then look at this flick. She's just going to be a nuisance in the upcoming season. But Chelsea, on the other hand, are looking like they're ready for the WSL season and are coming in strong as title contenders once again.